welcome into the first episode of the Extra Mile podcast. I'm your host, Bobby Jones, and to my left, your right, is our first guest, who I'm super excited to have here with us, CJ Faison. Now, CJ, if you guys don't know who he is a YouTube sensation, man. I've watched his videos and some of the stuff that he does on there. If you guys aren't watching, you gotta tune in. It's pretty awesome. But I'm gonna let him explain to you guys a little bit more about what he does and who he is outside of the YouTube stuff, and maybe even dabble in that a little bit.
Man, that's actually a heck of an intro there. YouTube sensation.
Yes, sir.
I like it, man. No, so I guess to kind of tell all the viewers, I've got a really weird / interesting story. I started racing go-karts when I was about 4.5, 5 years old. And from there, I just kept moving up through the ranks. I ended up in NASCAR for almost 5 years. My love for business and building things outside of racing was like far greater than my love for NASCAR it was at the time. So it was kind of one of those deals where I was like, okay, I want to come back home and move back to Delaware and really build a foundation under myself, and then just, you know, continue exploring outside of the business world. So that's what I did. I came back home, started back into the family business, took that over, grew it, and continued growing it. And then all of a sudden, I picked up a camera. I've always had cameras.
What was that family business, if you don't mind me asking?
It's an auto auction. So we let the public come in and buy like the dealers do. So we run over like 300 cars a week. It's super busy. It's always exciting. It keeps my attention, you know? So like if I had like a job where I just go in each day and it's like repetitive, I would like never be able to grow.
You don't
from
fit that mold yet.
Yeah, so I mean, my dad, he actually hired me, and it was for $250 a week until I could prove my worth. And then you know, started, you know, buying into the business and kind of going after it like that.
How old were you when you first got, like, at that point?
When I came back, he handed me the keys at 19 years old, and it was like $250 a week. And I had worked there since I was 5. I really officially started working there when I was 7. He fired me the summer that I turned 7. So that was kind of weird. And I had to work the rest of the summer for free in order to have a job next summer. So it was like always like a hard type deal with my dad. And he's the type of hard guy who, like, he would charge you for like a stick of gum. You know what I mean? He's not going to give you anything for free whatsoever. He just does not believe in that mentality. So that's where I've kind of ended up, and I naturally got that from him, because now I'm like, nothing comes for free. Yeah. Got to work at it. Got to put in the hours.
Are you frugal? Like, are you frugal with your money the way that he kind of was, or?
Yeah, no, man. Because I look at it like
a balance between probably where you said he was
100%.
and where I have been before.
Yeah, absolutely.
Somewhere in the middle where you're supposed to be, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, and when I was living in North Carolina racing in NASCAR, everybody thinks like, oh, you're making tons of money and stuff like that. And like, there's times where you can, but then at other times there's like, you know, -70 in the bank account, and you're like, oh shit, what am I gonna do now?
There's that meme that goes around like Facebook and like some of the social medias, and they're like, well, what my family thinks I make, what my friends think I make. Yeah, like we're like here with empty pockets.
Exactly. Yeah.
I can't help but think of that when you bring that up.
Yeah, like right now, I look at everything as like investing back into what I'm doing now. So I've always had video cameras, and I've always been intrigued by video content, and I always was watching videos. So as soon as YouTube came out, I was watching. I wasn't creating, but I was watching.
Yeah, sure.
So YouTube kind of just fell into place for me. I started watching these scary videos because I just love an adrenaline rush.
Sure.
I love thinking that somebody's going to break into my house because I'm still waiting for that day.
Were you always like watching like scary movies and stuff like that?
No, I hate scary movies.
Oh, really?
Because the movies actually, they're scary, don't get me wrong, but they're not real.
Yeah.
When you're actually in the woods alone at night, 3 a.m., things are happening, like that's a whole different perspective on life. Like you really like think about things twice before you go in. So I started watching these videos. I contacted who happens to be my new best friend now, Mo Sargi. It's like him and I, we hit it off instantly. He'd been doing YouTube for about 4 or 5 years before I even remotely wanted to get into it. And I called him up and I said, hey, I want you to come and film Maggie's Bridge. It's a haunted bridge in Seaford, Delaware. I'm scared to death to go to it. I don't want anything to do with it, but I just want you to come film it.
You didn't know him before that?
Never. No.
Oh, okay.
But I emailed him off a whim. I'm like, you know, I'll pick up the airport, whatever. I'm
That's
not
what it takes, though, man. People
crazy
don't understand.
person.
You gotta go that.
Right.
You gotta take that leap.
Yeah, you gotta take that leap. So, but I picked him up at the Philadelphia airport. By the time we got to about the Smyrna, Dover area, he had me talked into going with him.
Oh, shit.
By the time we got to Seaford, where I lived at that time, I'm going to take my camera with me and go and film it too. So that way there's like a cool keepsake. Well, I posted it up on my channel. Next thing you know, some of his viewers came over, started watching the video. And it's kind of interesting to see, like, there's some people that absolutely love him and absolutely hate me, and vice versa. So like with YouTube, you being authentic on camera is going to create a fan base around you of people who truly do love you. Mm-hmm. So like if you like fake a video, or if you go off the cuff and it's like have this alternate ego or personality, it's not truly you, and those truly aren't your actual fans.
Yeah.
I learned that really fast, so.
No, I really like that.
Me.
I really like that too. Somebody, and I can't remember who it was, recently they gave me like an example, and they're like, listen, the integrity, right? That's you. That's what you know of you,
yep.
right? And that's the roots of what you're doing, but the tree is the authenticity, right? Because
exactly.
authenticity is what we project to the public and what they see.
Right.
That's why I can't, like, when I'm speaking, I tell them up front, I'm going to curse. Like, I know I'm going to curse, like, even if you don't want me to.
We can cuss on this, right?
Yeah,
okay, because I cuss worse than a sailor.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, I know I'm going to, so I'd be wrong to tell you I'm not going to.
Exactly.
And I'd be wrong to conform. Like, you're either going to love me for who I am, or you're going to hate me for who I am, because you're not going to love me for being somebody I'm not.
And here's something I will not do. Like, I clearly do not give a damn about what people think of me, because if I care about what you think of me or what somebody watching this video thinks of me, instantly I'm going to change who I am.
Absolutely.
And if that's the case, you are not being authentic to yourself.
Absolutely.
Nor are you being authentic to the people watching.
Man.
So it's like a mix-up, dude. Like, so many people get this, like, misconception, like, oh, I've got to be good, I can't cuss, and it's corporate America. Like, folks, let me tell y'all, this is not 1999, this is 2019, where everything is out in the open.
Yep, and so much more socially acceptable than it once was.
100%, yeah.
And so what's funny about that is, like, I always say that, like, if you knew how, like, less or how little often people were thinking of you, you would probably be offended anyway. So stop worrying about what people think about you, because they're not thinking about you. You know what I mean?
Or
I tell my daughter all the time when she goes to school, she's like, Dad, I got this pimple over here. I'm like, listen, nobody's thinking about your pimple because they got their own pimple they're thinking about.
Exactly. That's a really good point, actually. Yep.
That's funny, dude. So you brought up something that I really wanted to touch on. I wanted to touch on it a little bit later in this, but since you brought it up, I want to bring up, I run a family business and you run a family business. I want to talk about, like, some of the challenges to that, some of the benefits. I know, man. Like, but this is some of the things that I think, oftentimes people launch into business and they may use some family members and they may tolerate a little bit more from a person because they're family, or they may not appreciate somebody enough because they're family. So I want to hear your input on, like, what you saw from you coming into the business, and then now that you're running it, what do you see and what do you experience?
Phew, man. All right. So the first thing that I experienced, I was 19 years old. I kind of was just hot off the NASCAR thing, and when I came back into the business, everyone was like, all right, let's see how this goes, you know what I mean? And I was like, man, I'm going to prove all these fucking people wrong right here. I cannot wait. Because I knew mentally what I was about to do. Sure. But in the back of my head, I understood, like, I can't come in there guns blazing and change up the whole world instantly. Right. I have to remake connections. I have to rebuild friendships and relationships with the employees. That way you can, when you say something, they believe in you. And when you say you're going to do something, you got to act upon it. And when you say, we're going to do this, that's the final answer. Don't change it. Right. Not unless you come back 10 minutes later and say, all right, it's a bad idea. I just tried it. It's not going to work. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah, I understand.
My biggest thing that I had to overcome was the fact that, like, okay, you come into a family business, all right? Now, people don't know that I've worked there since I was 5 to 7 years old. I got fired at 7. Nobody knows that story. Nobody cares. And you come back in there and people look at you like, it was given to you, this, that, and the other. I cannot stand that. And, like, okay, so you want to hate on me because I took advantage of a situation, okay? And so oftentimes, I've almost done this a couple of times, but I wouldn't do it to my dad. I would literally, on purpose, lose everything in order to show everyone that I can rebuild from nothing.
You wouldn't want to do that because obviously it's kind of a smack in the face for your dad, but I totally understand that. So real quick, and I'm going to let you get right back to it because I know you got a lot to contribute on this, but one of the things I wanted to bring up is so I used to live in a mindset of a victim mentality, right? I used to think that, like, if I saw you specifically and you had, your nice truck, and I would immediately think, okay, this guy's had everything given to them. He's like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have that opportunity that he had.
It's easy to look at it that way.
Bullshit. So one day when, I took ownership of my life, I was like, you know what? No, this guy busted his ass for what he has, just the same way as everybody else busted their ass. And that person in that nice ass truck that you pull up to and have that thought might have been in a worse spot than you've ever been in your life. So you never know what a person's story is.
Exactly.
And so, man, I used to think that way, and when I hear people think that way, I just want to grab them, and I'm like, listen, I understand, but you couldn't be further from the freaking truth and the reality of what it is. So,
100%.
Go ahead, get back into it, but I want to make sure.
I'm tapping on that right now.
Okay, go ahead.
Because so my parents divorced twice. They divorced when I was 9, they got back together when I was 11.
No way.
And then divorced when I was 12. So, like, it was like you went on an emotional roller coaster ride, you know? And my dad, he was the type that wanted to work all the damn time. My mom, she needed that connection, you know, like, just like instead of working all the time, they worked together.
Right.
So I just split them apart even more. And still to this day, like I say, I've forgiven them, but I truly, in the back of my mind, I haven't, because now my mentality is completely different.
Yeah.
Like, both of them could have, like, they could have tried harder and done it. Mm-hmm. And that's all you had to do, is try. But the easy way out back then was divorce, and the rates were going rapid.
Of course.
I'll never forget this, because it was the moment I turned myself into a victim. I was in school, and it was really strange because it was right after my dad sat me down and told me that they were getting a divorce and everything like that. So the following week, I get pulled out of school by the guidance counselor, and they started treating me like a victim.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, maybe I am. So from 9 until about 14 or 15, like, everything was bad. Yeah. Everything was just not going my way. So think about it this way. I finally, I guess, found myself when I was 15, 16. I started really finding out who I am, what I'm good at. Mm-hmm. I understood how to express myself. I understood that I'd always been trying to make $1 ever since I was 3 years old.
Right.
Like, I would sell my own toys if I had to. I wanted money to make other things happen. So I looked at it as a victim for the entire time. And I meet so many people, and so many fans come up to me, and they're like, I just wish I could be a YouTuber and this and that and the other. And I'm like, all you literally have to do is take the first damn step. Yeah. Like, you sitting on the couch watching me do it is not actually doing it. Correct. If you're trying to get inspiration from me, 100% keep on watching.
Keep watching them, though.
Or, keep watching And if you like the entertainment part of it, keep watching. But if you want to do your own channel, you want to grow your own brand, build your own, audience, I should say, literally take the step and do it. Go out there. Like, I hate when people say I don't have enough time. That is absolute bullshit, horseshit. Don't give me that line, because I myself am probably the busiest person I know, and I make myself that way because I want more out of life.
Exactly.
I want to enjoy the fruits of my labor. And yeah, am I getting 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night? Yeah. Is it the right thing to do? No. Because, I mean, I could get 8 hours of sleep and still do the same amount of stuff. Sure. I just choose not to.
Yep.
I could narrow my day in,
but
I choose not to. I choose to spread it all out and do it, methodically and get it all done the way I want to. And when I film a video, I might spend 4 hours on something that might be a 45-minute for the video.
Yeah.
So it's like, you just gotta, you can't play the victim mentality. You can't say that, oh, I can't do that because I don't have this.
Right.
Okay, so the smartphone that you're watching my videos on can film the exact same thing as a camera I spent $2,000 on to film that video.
Chris and I've been talking about that too.
It's dumb. But like, mentally, I think I have to have that camera in order to get like a good, compelling video, and I don't.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
I think it's also about self-awareness too. Like, when you're aware of who you are and going back to what you were talking about, like wanting to sell your own toys, like you had that entrepreneurial spirit already. And so, I think that that's important to understand. Like, if it's in you, that's one thing. It's a lot of it's learnable. But at the same time, like, that self-awareness is important, because another person trying to shoot for what you're trying to shoot for, doing everything that you're doing, might not be happy 100%. Taking on all that, right?
Exactly.
So they might not be able to take on all that, because their happiness is what should be at their forefront 100%. And what should be the most important thing.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
There's nothing more true than what you just said, because there's some people out there, like, they'll message me or they'll email me, and they're like, you've got this great life and this, that, and the other. How do you do it? And it's like, you just got to go for it and make it happen. Like, whenever I get to a roadblock, I'm like, okay, cool. This is just a stepping stone to put me up even further and further. It's not like I step over it and I come back down to the same level. Like, as soon as you get over something, it's instantly, you've learned how to get over this, or you've learned a hurdle to get over. So like, when people want to talk about, I guess, the decisions that they make in life or the setbacks that they have, it really irritates me, because I'm like, all right, so people think I've got this picture perfect life, but they don't see everything that goes on behind the scenes that you go through, I go through, anybody.
Right.
So like, and like you said, some people don't want that.
Yeah.
And that's completely fine.
But it's important to know about yourself. Like
100%.
it's important to know, like, don't just mimic and mock and like imitate, because you could put yourself in a bad spot
100%.
trying to be somebody else and trying to chase somebody else's happiness.
Yeah.
You got to know your happiness.
But like, okay, so like if you want the things that other people have, don't throw shade on them just because you don't have it.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like that's what really irritates me too, is like people so often will throw shade on somebody else because they don't have that lifestyle.
That was me. I'm telling you, that was me. Like if I'd have seen you drive up in your truck when I was in that green, we were talking before we started rolling, that green and black Ford Explorer, right? I'd have been like, man, bump that guy, man, and his nice ass truck and his life that's been given to him, because that was that victim mentality, just telling me that this man didn't work his ass off for what he has. But
society trains you to think that way.
Yeah. Oh, it does. Really does. Oh, it most certainly does. Like you said, you talking about that counselor that came in when you were going through what you were going through, and then immediately made you feel like a victim.
I was immediately a victim.
Of course.
At 9 years old, and I was like, man, maybe everything is bad. Yeah. Maybe this does suck.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, so, you know, and we live in a world that's excuse-based anyway, right? So somebody's like, okay, I can't do this because I was abused as a child. I can't go and live a normal life because my last boyfriend used to beat me up. Like, that's his fault, your responsibility. Like, you got to do something about it. That's on you.
Exactly.
Now, I want to go back to it because you were just talking about how, like, each obstacle you've seen in life was treated as a stepping stone. And my theory on that is that that is because you understand the why and you understand clearly the vision that you have for yourself. How does that translate back to your family-based business, right? So like when you're telling them, hey, listen, these are some changes I plan on implementing, getting their feedback and then implementing them, do you find that you've communicated your bigger vision for the business well enough that they take those smaller tasks and don't worry about them as much because of that bigger vision?
I actually think sometimes when I explain my vision to some of our employees, it downright scares a lot of them. It really does. Because, like, I mean, I'm not a small thinker. I'm not small town mentality. Like my dad, love him to death, but he's like, when's enough's enough? Where's that point? Where's the line? Where do you draw the line? And I'm like, the line is never going to be good enough. And I'm telling you, like, I can't operate like that. He's like, but there's got to be a work-life balance, and there's got to be this. And I agree, there's got to be work-life balance.
He's right.
But at the same time, if I'm willing to sacrifice the first 25 to 30 years of my life after I graduate high school in order to live like nobody else can, let that be on me.
Yes, sir.
As long as I'm still spending time, treating everybody with respect, doing things, going to family dinners and functions, and I probably don't go to as much or as many as I need to or should. And I just think, like, if you hustle, you grind it out, you got a vision, and you can clearly execute on it. Like I said, I get every obstacle that I get to. It's like, okay, I want to do this. It takes X, Y, and Z. So let me back up, make some more of this in order to make this happen, or let me back up and learn more. Like video editing, I didn't have a clue about video editing until 2013. I just started messing around with it. Little did I know I'm going to have to use it vigorously for a really good source of income now in 2019. No clue. Like, I started YouTube in 2018, and it's just grown like crazy. But I found an obstacle. Okay, how do I make these videos? How do I keep pushing the limits? And sometimes that can bite you, but you got to find that fine line.
Sure. Yeah,
it's scary.
You know what's funny is, like, and when you brought up the obstacles and you brought up these different things and the stepping stone, I always find that, like, sometimes you have to do, like, because I feel like there's a lot of people that have an entrepreneurial mindset but might work a 9 to 5, right?
100%.
So understand, though, that you have to have complete ownership of what you're doing, right? Because those relationships will follow you forever.
Yes, they will.
Okay? Because I'm going to tell you now, like, I don't do business with some people who I had relationships with before, and that impression has been left on me, and I'm not going to do business with them as a result.
Exactly.
Because I seen an example of their work ethic then and their values then. So what I always see, though, is like people getting hard on themselves and not enjoying what they're doing now because they have something else that they're trying to get to, right? So like from what you're doing right now, like, what do you find most joy in, and how do you separate that from what is also like part of what you have to do day to day and its contribution to your financial position as well? Like, at what point do you know what I mean? Like, what part of what you're doing do you find most joy in, and are you headed in that direction more full time than anything?
I find growing a business is cool. It's fun. It's enjoyable. It's everything I've ever wanted to do. I've always loved growing businesses.
Yeah,
so
me too, man. Freaking love it.
I don't know what it is. Like some people like fishing, some people like hunting, some people like to just hang out on their back deck. Like, hey, to each is their own and have at it. My enjoyment is this. Like when I can see something grow that I know I had a huge part in, I double down on every bit of it. And I just try to keep pushing further and further. And like, I'm like, okay, there's no limit here. So let me just push it until it's absolutely exhausted. And then, go to the next thing, develop the next stage in your company. I enjoy that a lot. I think one of the big things that probably I hate the most is having to fire people that I know I have to. And I take a really long time at that. Like, I let you go way further than you should. And I know that, but at least I know it. If I didn't know it, it would be like, complete chaos. So I've put someone in position in order to execute upon that. I come to them, I said, this is not happening, make it happen. So when that doesn't happen, it's like a buffer for me because I need to keep, there needs to be an open door, but a little bit like you can't go drink beer with them on Friday night. You can't do that because it's just not. Then they think, okay, well, I can get away with all of this too. So there's so many different things going on. And I learned a really valuable thing when I was 6 years old. My cousin Jamie and I had this weird idea because coupons came for free in the mail. I cut out coupons and I set this whole elaborate thing up in my grandparents' front yard in Seaford, Delaware on like this busiest street, sort of busy. And it said coupons for sale.
No way.
And I sold coupons. Like people felt that bad for me. I mean, honestly, I think they just felt bad.
Just out of sympathy.
Man, they're selling coupons. Like there's a bad childhood going on right here. Let's help them out.
That victim mentality paid off.
Right. Yeah. It paid off for the time being. So I had this guy come up. I'll never forget it. And I know I was super young, but it stuck and resonated with me forever. He came up and he said, I like your workflow. And I was like, workflow? I don't even know what that meant. But he meant work ethic.
Yeah.
I was going to do whatever it took to make $1 out of the stuff that I had. So some people, if they're talented, like visually and artistic wise, hop on a website like Fiverr.com.
Yeah.
Go for it. Like if you're good at graphic design, put your stuff out there. If you're good at, beats and music, what do you love? And people are always like, well, what I love isn't going to make me money. Well, if you're passionate enough about it, you're going to find a way to make you money. Don't use that victim mentality of saying, well, there's not a lot of money in this industry. There's money everywhere. You just got to grab it and go after it.
Absolutely.
And for some people, they don't want money. Like there's a lot of people out there that are fine doing what they're doing. And I'm not knocking anybody who's doing that. But if you want more, don't complain about the other people who have it and that are doing something for it. So kind of tapping back on your question, I absolutely love doing YouTube. I think it's one of the most things. I think I've been more passionate about YouTube than I have about anything else. I love racing. I love the auction. I love everything. The auction and YouTube are hand in hand. Like there's so much excitement in both areas. YouTube is just as much work as the auction. Like so. From about 7 a.m. till 6 p.m. is auction, and then from 6 p.m. till midnight is YouTube stuff, and I'm going out and filming, and then weekends where I used to go race, which I'm passionate about.
And I see you getting back into that too.
I'm getting back into racing, so I'm kind of like trying to balance all of this stuff and then add, some racing into YouTube. But, man, YouTube is a very special community.
It is.
It's not like race fans are awesome. I'm not knocking them. But there are no fans out there like YouTube fans. If I have a T-shirt that comes out, they buy it the day it drops. They come out, and it's just like we sell out within 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, in racing, I would hang on to the same shirt for like all year long. Like we'd have 300
they
shirts
end up
sitting
being
around.
rags in the garage.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're giving them out and stuff. I'm like, just take my stuff.
It's bizarre. It's definitely a different
super
world.
weird, man. It's super weird. And then the same thing in business sometimes. Like you have this great idea, and you come out with it, and it's like flops. So it's like, all right, cool. You either build upon it and make it better, or you scrap it and go into the next thing.
All right, so you brought that up. One of the questions I wanted to ask you, like, what failures have you truly seen in business, and how has that impacted you?
More than you could write on a piece of paper. You'd have to have a whole notebook of things. I have. When I say I've tried everything, I mean I've executed so many ideas. And what I typically do for inspiration, is I will think about me. Whenever I'm scrolling past something, what do I look at? So that inspires my posts on Instagram and Facebook and everything, not only personally, but business-wise as well.
Yeah, sure.
For some weird reason, I love watching videos of like people in an office setting, like doing like funny stuff. Like you post one of the videos, I'm watching. Yeah. You've got me. I'm hooked for 3 or 4 minutes.
You guys got your idea now. You got your idea. Go ahead and post it. Like, and CJ's tuning in.
So here, I'm going to call out the entire car industry here because I think this is something they need to hear. Every single one of you are doing it wrong. Every single one of them. There's not a person in the car industry, not a single car dealership or anyone who has hit the nail on the head where they're supposed to be going with social media. They post this BS, today only, you can come in, and they throw the car sales mentality at you. And I'm like,
I see the commercial in my head right now.
Man,
I know what you're talking about.
Today only, we're giving referrals. Today only, this car is $2,000 off, which means it was overpriced to begin with. And like, man, the moment that somebody steps off of the sales bandwagon and goes to a building a relationship with a one-on-one customer, you're going to post one post that is only going to be relevant to 2 or 3 people who see it, and the other couple thousand are not going to really even care. They're going to scroll right by it. But it's like shooting fish in a barrel. Do you want to shoot fish in a barrel, or do you want to shoot a gun up in the air and hope a bird flies by? Like, that's what they're doing. And people are moving away from this approach when you're being sales-ish on Facebook, Instagram, anything. When they're like, come on down to this, that, and the other, and try us out. Like me, I take a different approach on our Facebook Live stuff. So what I'm doing is I'm saying I'm inviting you to my auction. I'm not saying that I've got the best deals. I'm saying there's great deals here.
Of course.
I'm not saying that you need to come this Thursday only, yada, yada, yada. Everyone knows we have an auction on Thursday night if you pay attention to our Facebook. If you don't, I've added that in there so you know. But I'm not preaching to you today only, you're getting this deal. It pushes people away because it's like, well, I can't make it today, so why would I even bother coming in?
And, no, I definitely agree with that.
And I think content-wise, they're way off. Way off.
Because I think, people, you have to bring value to that content, right? So you 100%. Have to be contributing something, right? Which that's where, going back to the question initially, like I see that through the auction. I see that through YouTube
100%.
That you like impacting other people, right? And whether that be by them coming there and getting a great deal on a car or,
or
just
inspiring them through the video,
right?
Anything.
Or even providing, somebody a job through your business and like all the different ways to impact. That's important to me. It's played a huge role in what I do. Like most people, like I have a roofing business. They're like, how the heck did you get into that? You know what though? We did it the best we possibly can, right? We did the best roofing system we could so that the people that we did roofs for were worry-free afterwards, right? And that was what meant the most to me.
They're going to tell their friends. They're going to tell their family. You've inspired them because you've done a good job. They feel good. They have no animosity towards you.
Right. You have to bring something there, right? You have to bring value. And that was kind of what I was going back to with your content and like the things that you put out there. I always find that there's something within that you could take away. And 100%. Like moving forward, we're actually reading The Go-Giver as part of our company right now. If you haven't read that, it's an awesome book. But, in The Go-Giver, they talk about moving forward with that mindset of contribution. One of the reasons why you could sit here in front of an audience and tell other people who might have an auction or might have a car lot what you're doing, right? You're not afraid of your trade secret, right?
Not
because you have the mindset of abundance. Like, by the time they catch up to what you're doing, you're probably going to move on to something else anyway. But
I'm telling them what I started doing 2 years ago.
Exactly.
And that's why I look at it. And I'm going to give a shout out. Okay, Spencer and Zeb from Atlantic Auto Brokers. You guys are going to be watching this, I know for a fact. Execute on the idea that I gave you because you guys are going to just completely mop up the social media game for the car industry around our area at least. They really are. I mean, we're sitting down with them and I'm trying to help them kind of mold and adapt this thing.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm very gifted at. I understand, okay, so think about this. All right, I'm going to borrow this. Can I have your smart water there?
Sure, have all of that.
All right, cool.
You want anything else?
No, I'm good.
My wallet?
So think about your wallet. It's good. It's good. I'm not going to steal that. But I am going to basically give somebody a really, really good principle, okay? Here's Instagram, here's Twitter, and here's Facebook.
Correct.
All right? So where do people go when they want to post something, they want to live that extravagant life? When you're scrolling through Instagram, it's completely different from when you're scrolling through Twitter and Facebook.
Correct.
Facebook over here, you're wanting everybody's drama and you're wanting to get into tea, okay? So such and such and such and such are now fighting, their boyfriend and girlfriend. You're going to get the tea over here on Facebook.
Correct.
That's where drama lives, okay? Twitter is where you really find who people are, all right? You're going to you're going to really find out a lot of things about people from the things that they favorite and they retweet and they actually tweet about, right? So my content on Facebook is different from what I post on Twitter, and what I post on Instagram is different from all 2 of them, you know what I mean? So you're using all these platforms, okay? So I post a certain thing on Instagram that I know is going to get attention, all right? I post a certain thing on Twitter that I know is going to get attention. And then I post something on Facebook what I know is going to get attention. So what I do is I try on certain platforms to live rent-free in people's mind, even if it makes me look like an asshole sometimes because they're talking about me.
Yeah.
And if they're talking about me, they're not talking about anybody else.
Correct.
And some people are like, I can't believe he posts that. Can you believe that, CJ? That son of a bitch. He just, you know what I mean? They're like, they can't believe I post what I post.
Sure.
And literally, no, it's so strategic because I'm living rent-free in their mind.
Yeah.
Whether it's good or bad, in the end, I'm going to scoop them around and they're going to end up hopefully liking me. But for the time being, it's so
They're
strategic,
know who you are.
man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like your board right here. I got a whiteboard full of ideas, and my posts are planned out probably 3 or 4 weeks in advance.
Jeez.
If I post something, it's not me actually hitting the post button. I've already scheduled that to hit the internet at a certain time, certain words. And so many people in business, they don't understand it. Like they think it's bullshit that they have to pay as a business to put their post out on Facebook to get more people to see it. And the same thing's happening with Instagram. Yep. You're going to have to start paying to get in front of people, especially TikTok as a business or a page. Yeah. I've briefly touched on TikTok.
It's coming.
Yeah, I feel like it's coming, but it's kind of like it's not early. It's happening. So it's like you either got to get it on the bandwagon now or just be forgotten about. Yeah. So again,
I can have my water bottle.
Yeah, you have your water bottle. Yeah, I can back too. But I want to make a good example that you got to post differently on each platform.
Right. It's definitely important to know exactly what's going to impact them.
Here we go. My grandmother, she's on Snapchat. She's on Instagram and Facebook. My girl's on Snapchat. She's 93 years old, okay? So, like, when she's scrolling through Facebook, she's reading all the posts.
Right.
When she's on Instagram, she's reading all the posts. Me, like, Facebook, if you're not the first post on my Facebook page, I do not see it. I don't scroll on any platform whatsoever.
Yeah.
Instagram, I might take a swipe or two, or, when I'm, doing number 2 or something. But other than that, like, I'm answering emails back. Like, I'm too busy. I'm thinking of my next post. I'm thinking of my next video. Like, that's what you got to do. So many people lose that. They don't understand it. It's weird.
Yeah. So I'm a big Gary Vee fan, and he always talks about document versus
I've watched
create.
some of his stuff.
Yeah. So,
about 2 years ago, I found him. I watched some of his stuff, and then like, I get confused when I watch him, actually.
Yeah,
I love him to death. I love his personality, but I'm like,
there's some,
man, I can't keep up with you. I got to just do my own thing here. Like,
there's
oh
some
my god,
conflicting info and some redundant info. But dude, ultimately, though, I definitely love like his energy and stuff like that. But one of the things he preaches big time is that self-awareness thing, which we've talked about a little 100%. Bit already. I want to go back to, you were talking about like taking too long to terminate somebody and have to fire somebody. I've been in that same situation recently, and I let it go on for too long because, unlike what you were bringing up, you were like saying, you said that, you're not going to go grab a beer with your guy on a Friday night. What's funny about that is I actually just quit drinking. So now I'm definitely making that public. If people didn't know, I quit
That's awesome,
2 weeks ago.
That's awesome.
And one of the reasons was you were talking about how busy you are. I felt like I was losing hours, right, in my day because I was putting myself in a position where I couldn't be as effective as I wanted to be. So it may fit back into my lifestyle one day, but as of right now, it doesn't. So, but before that, I definitely had that kind of culture with my business. I definitely hung out with my guys. We had a softball team together, which we drank afterwards. And so like that part of it was part of our company culture. Like we work hard and we play hard, you know what I mean? So, but for me, like, because I was such a close friend with this guy, like, and I knew his kids and like, but I'll tell you what, that also played a role into the way that I terminated him. When I terminated him, I had already called another competitor who was a friend of mine. And I lined up a job for him before I even terminated this guy.
That speaks volumes about you.
Well, but because I cared so much about this guy, like I felt like, I didn't want him to be without. So it was something that was huge. Now that wasn't a family member, but again, I want to go back to that a little bit. I don't think we dove into that as deep as I wanted to. Like, have you been in a position where you've had to terminate an actual family member?
No, I haven't ever.
All right, so what about corrective conversations with a family member?
I have, and that's probably. I mean, there's 2 ways people are going to take me. I'm either the nicest guy you've ever met or the biggest asshole that nobody can stand. There is literally
I'm in between right now. No, I'm just kidding.
In between. Hey, man, it is what it is. Like, so I think a lot of people, again, they either think I'm an asshole or they love me. So when I correct somebody, I don't know how to come across in a certain way. It's like, here's what needs to be done. I'm redundant about it. And was it done yet?
Right.
I just said it a minute ago. Like I want it done then and now, and like Amazon Prime is my best friend because if I want it, I'm gonna choose same day delivery if it opts into it. Okay, might cost a little bit more, but to me mentally, it's okay to have that. Like, so whenever I'm
all about convenience. By the way, I'll pay for some convenience,
dude. I will too, 100%. People don't realize how good convenience is.
That's right. It's
like
expensive. If you talk about how busy you are, right? Dude, if you're busy, then your time's valuable.
You get an idea in your head, and like I'm just gonna go off the cuff here. I wanted a camera to film in infrared mode at nighttime, and I had it delivered the next day. It cost me almost $80 in shipping, but I got the camera, I did the video. And then what happened was it was one of my best viewed videos so far because I mentally knew I was going to kill it. If I get that camera tomorrow, I'm going to film tomorrow night.
So you performed better, yeah.
100%, man. And it's like, okay, that 80 I spent made me like 20 times as much off that one video. So I'm like, this makes sense. You got to act upon it. Like whenever you feel fire in here, you got to go off of it. So like when I feel like I have to fire somebody, I used to wait and drag it out. And then I'd wait another week. And I'm like, they'll change. And I had too much faith in people. Some people are just not cut out for the position you put them in.
Yeah.
And you got to accept that you failed as a business owner or a leader and understand that, okay, I messed up. I put that person in the wrong position, so now I got to deal with it. So, you know, there's
and it's on you, not on them, right?
No, 100%,
because and it's like
it's not on them because you're the one who hired them for that position.
Right. And we might preach this self-awareness thing, but it's on us first, right? We can't say, okay, this person took a job because I was willing to pay them, even though they knew they couldn't do the job. Yes, they didn't do the right thing, but us as leaders, it's on us. Perfectly.
Yeah. If you don't take responsibility for putting somebody in the wrong position or pulling the trigger too early or too late, whatever that case might be, it's on you.
Yeah.
If you can't accept that as a leader, you're not a leader.
Exactly.
You are, and you're like basically misleading people because you're letting that person do the wrong thing over and over and over.
Credit goes to the team. The responsibility is on you. The credit goes to the team. Blame is on you. So, what's really interesting about this though is that when you're having these conversations with family members, and I want to kind of go back to what you were saying because I have that same interest. Like my interest is helping you do a better job at what you're doing. Really, right?
Yep.
So that I had to reel that in though because what was happening is I would do that in my relationship, right? So like. I would see, so dude, I'm telling you, this is some deep self-awareness here is like, I would see this happening and then I'm like, okay, she would bring up something that she wants to do. And I have to clarify. I'm like, look, are you venting to me and you just want me to hear what you're saying?
Yep.
Or do you want me to provide solutions? Because I will do that. I just want to make sure we're on the same page. So it's all about communication, man. It's deep.
Right up my alley right now, dude.
And even with my kids now, what's tough is like my kids are both athletes, right? I have two girls and they're athletes. So they're very coachable kids, right?
Yep.
And so that part of it's great. But I also have to understand that I'm still dad, right?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, like you might be able to tell my kids something and they're going to listen to you. I could have said the same thing an hour before that. And because it's coming, exactly. So that's important to know, especially within a family business and a relationship is like, you have to know how to communicate to those people, man.
That's tough.
It's deep, dude. It's freaking deep, man. And it comes back to,
at least you know that, though.
Yeah.
You're
I know.
self-aware enough to know that.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's self-aware these days. There are very few people who are.
Like you have to be, man. When I first started my business, for example, right? A lot of entrepreneurs, and let's get into this a little bit, right? Because there's so many people that want to start a business that are on the other end of this camera right now that don't because all the fears that are placed onto them. But I want to bring up one thing in particular. When I first started my business, I knew what I was good at, right? And I knew what I wasn't good at. So the very first thing I did was outsource all of my bookkeeping and accounting. Like I know, first of all, it's not even that I'm not good. I don't want to do that.
Nope.
If I'm searching for happiness, if I'm seeking happiness, right, then why am I going to do something that makes me miserable?
Exactly.
Right? And
it kills the whole workflow.
know I'm more prone to make a mistake than that expert is.
Absolutely.
Right? So let that expert put me in a good spot with the IRS, right?
Exactly.
So that part of it, I think people need to understand is like, it's okay to outsource. And as an entrepreneur, you're trying to control costs. A small business owner, you're trying to control costs.
Absolutely.
But your time is more valuable than that. And I think that outsourcing, that's important.
Man.
What would you tell the guy or gal on the other end of this camera who is thinking about starting a business, but because I know right now, I don't know who the naysayers were in your life or who they are, right? Who tell you not to do what you're doing and to take slower steps. But they have those people, right? Probably family members, probably well-intended. What are you going to say to those people who want to start a business and have been told all of the reasons why they shouldn't? Like, what do you got for them?
I would say this. I would say, fuck what everyone thinks.
Woo! Say it one more time.
Fuck what everyone thinks, because you're the person with the vision. At the end of the day, guess who's going to be executing and working on that vision? You are. If they're going to be there with you, okay, they got a little bit to say, but I just feel that even family members, I've noticed, will try to diminish what you are trying to do because it's a land grab game right now.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to look good on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that.
Perspective.
So
I didn't think about that too.
It's a land grab. It's almost like they're trying to cover the Monopoly board and not like try to trap you in. You just need to stay right here. We like you the way you are right now. Yeah. And I had family members that definitely doubted my ability. They doubted my attention span. They doubted a lot of the different things that I did. And I made a lot of moves when I was young, man. I made a ton of moves.
Sure.
I started businesses. They flopped. Real Eyewear, one of the businesses I started, gung-ho, did great the first year. Second year, it tanked. I mean, completely tanked.
Yeah.
Because my business model was off.
Right.
At first, it was a great business model, but then when you want to expand out of it, I didn't think and have enough forethought down the road. Yeah. So, I'm going to give a quick example. I was selling $20 sunglasses that were mediocre quality. And then when I stepped it up and started selling $80 sunglasses, we didn't sell a single pair of sunglasses. So I priced myself too low in the market, and I made my quality bare bones, half-assed-ish. It was nice, but for $20, it was a $20 pair of sunglasses. So that company tanked. I learned a lot from it. Mo Sargi and I, we purchased Motivated Eyewear. We've done a lot better with that venture. Nice. Okay. So, I mean, that's something else that I've done. But I figured out, that Real Eyewear situation put me in a better position now.
Oh, yeah, of course, man. If you don't love losing, and those losses are always going to teach you something.
Oh,
they're gonna you're gonna gain so much from those losses. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You're gonna take an L, but man, it's a W in the long run.
That's right.
But if you have that victim mentality, you took an L, and that's all it's gonna be.
Right.
You took an L.
Yeah, but
if you treat it as a W, like you won because you lost, you've learned something. All right, you understand where you went wrong. And that's what I understand what I went wrong. I took this path like so many different times. And I would always think about, well, if I fail, everybody's going to look at me differently. And I'm like, okay, but first off, they don't make my mortgage payment. They don't pay my electric. They don't pay for my truck. They don't do this. They don't send me on vacation. Why should I care about what they think?
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, it's scary how much I do not care sitting across from you, what you think of me or what anybody watching this video thinks of me, because if I focus too much on that, again, it's going to derail me, and I'm going to go after what you think I should do. So a lot of family members, they were telling me you should do this or you should do that, or I wouldn't cuss on your videos and stuff. So I'm going to give a shout out to my mom real quick. My mom, second video in on YouTube, she's like, you really need to stop using the F-bomb. I'm like, yeah, but that's just what I do. Anybody who's close to me knows I drop the F-bomb any.
Right. And so the people that know you know you're not being you on that damn camera. Right.
Yep.
And that's the thing.
And then you're exposed. Yeah. And then you're living a life that you're not authentic. You're not the real person. Correct. So shout out to you, Mom. You do conform to what my videos are now, and I appreciate that. But I understood what she was doing at the time, but I had a bigger vision in my head.
And that's the thing, right? We know that she's, that she meant well.
She means well, 100%.
And that's the thing that I can't emphasize enough is that the conversations that I had with family members when I started my business, the questions to me were, well, what if it doesn't work? What if it doesn't work? You shouldn't do that. You should stay at a 9-to-5 that's more stable and you're not risking your family. Yep. And I'm like, but what if it does work? Right? That's the question I was asking myself.
Exactly.
What if this does work? The reverse mentality. Right?
What if it does work? Then think of the upside.
Yeah. And
but so you're thinking of we're kept at this mentality where you just stay here, don't think above, just think right in here because that's safe, and the world needs to have you around and what you're doing right now, and you need to work that 9-to-5, and you might have an entrepreneurial spirit and go after it.
Right.
Here's an example, and this.
If you've ever sold coupons on the side of the road or an equivalent, you're probably an entrepreneur.
Right.
So get off your ass and get to work on it. Go ahead.
Do it, man. Here's an example. So. My dad, when I first started this YouTube thing, he was like, all right, the videos, they're pretty interesting and some of them are funny. And he's like, is it really worth your time? And I showed him on the phone. I was like, I made this video and it was me sleeping overnight inside the Redden State Forest. Or I'm sorry, the Pocomoke Forest. And he's like, yeah, but imagine the amount of money that you could have made. Oh, I'm good. Thank you. He said, imagine the amount of money you could have made while you were out there sleeping in the forest. You could have been doing something else. I know your mind is always turning. And I'm like, trust me when I say this. So I brought back my phone, like, I guess a week later, and I'm like, look, in a week, I've made $32 on this video. And to me, I was like, that's a W right there. You know what I mean? I'm like, $32, I'm doing backflips. I'm like, I can make money. Like, I can do this. Like, this is really cool. I can make money off of YouTube. If I made $32 on a video now, I would absolutely be devastated. Like, YouTube has become my biggest source of income.
That's good, man. It's awesome.
It's insane to say that.
Sure.
I used to look
bizarre,
at these kids I used to look at these kids on YouTube, and I'm like, all right, they're either trust fund idiots or they are just really figuring out something that I haven't. And now I figured that out. I've seen them driving Lamborghinis and owning these $2 and $3 million houses at 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, and I'm like, trust fund idiots. That's what I call them, you know? And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, and I started putting myself in victim mentality until I started realizing that you can make a literal boatload on YouTube.
Right.
But I don't do it for the money. If I'm telling you right now, mark my words, if YouTube demonetized my channel tomorrow, I'd still make content.
Oh, I believe you. And
I love it.
I watch your videos and I see the authenticity in it, right?
I enjoy
it. Like, you know what's awesome is like not only that, but like I understand that totally. So I love, like, if I give a presentation or if I do something, I want it on video so now I can review myself, right? And I could say, okay, listen, now I can improve on this. I can improve on this. It means the world to me already. So I already understand that there's that part of it for you that I'm sure you love, right?
Yeah.
And that part of it. Plus, I mean, dude, you're a freaking thrill seeker. You love to have fun. Why not document that for your own sake? You know what I mean?
Exactly right.
Like, down the road when you have grandkids, you can pull up these videos and be like, hey, man, this is that time that I spent the night in this haunted house or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, that's dope. That's awesome. So there's a lot to that, you know, again, I think it's all about seeking happiness. Like, people can make $250,000 a year on YouTube, right? And be miserable, right?
Yeah.
Or they can make $50,000 a year in whatever career they love and be happy.
Over the moon.
So it's all about, I know I keep saying it, but it's all about that self-awareness. Yeah.
Attention and self-awareness,
yes, man.
So let me ask you this. I want to reverse this question real quick.
Here we go. Flip it.
All right. So I was thinking about this because when I was driving over here, I was on a phone call, and it just kind of like flipped a switch in my head. And I wanted to ask you this. So everyone is always looking for the next land grab. That's what I call attention, like land grabbing.
Sure, yeah.
Where in your business do you see what channel of social media benefits you in your business the most?
Facebook, definitely.
Facebook.
And it's mainly because, right, for me, LinkedIn, I think, is definitely like more of a professional, like B2B platform, whereas Facebook has definitely helped my local presence, and we do a ton on Facebook for Brightside. So as a roofing company, that's benefited me a lot. Now that I'm exploring into more motivational speaking and things like that, now I'm starting to explore more on Instagram and LinkedIn, and you know, we also have a networking company doing some work with real estate. So now, as I expand away from my my lane, right, I expand a little bit outside of my lane, I'm starting to explore those different social media platforms a little bit more.
Right.
But again, for me, Facebook has definitely been the biggest source of referrals.
Do you have do y'all have like fun camaraderie on job sites?
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah. And
like,
so
I was thinking about this on the way over, and I'm like, man, if I had a roofing company, or if I did siding or anything that dealt with outdoors, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, I could kill the game on Instagram, and you like literally could take this and run with it.
Yeah.
There is a big source right now on Instagram for short, like 20-second funny videos, like anywhere from like 8 to 20-second videos of like people, like even if you did like skits that were like already like pre-scripted and you did it on Instagram, like I've seen like the dumbest things go viral, and that's why I'm like, man, like for me, we don't have a whole lot of things that we can do around the auction because we operate pretty much one day a week. You know, we're there all the time. But man, if you are on like some roof and stuff, and like you just started making some of your guys like comedians on your Instagram for people to follow you with that. So like Instagram is kind of like, I used to put promotional stuff on Instagram, try to sell people to come to the auction, and now I'm trying to, mentally, I'm thinking like, how do I reverse people's psychology to like want to do business with me because we're funny on Instagram?
Yeah.
Or
get their attention.
Yeah. Or like, hey, I need a new roof. Well, let me just tell you this. Like, there's some really funny people on Instagram, and you could have your house featured on one of their funny videos that they're doing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even
nothing
know,
else matters. Like,
or like some super creative videos, like where it looks like you've nailed like a phone in there. Or like, man, there's so many different things you could do.
So one of the things we just did, which was pretty cool, is we just launched the Referral Rewards program, right? So it was
that's sick. That's sick. I like it. All right, that's a really good play on words.
Yeah,
you win the internet today for that. Fuck.
So and we've got some cool things to follow that up with too. But we did like a branded prepaid Visa gift card, and versus instead of sending a check out to our customers, we developed this prepaid Visa gift card, and it's branded. So now when they're swiping, they're seeing the brand again. Yeah. Referral, man. So
you got me messed up.
We've got some cool ones coming though, man. So, but it's definitely important. But yeah. So I know you got, like you said, you're a very busy man. You got a whole lot of stuff going on, so your time's valuable. I certainly appreciate you coming out today and making sure that you were a part of this. We definitely appreciate that. Want to ask you and make sure that if if our viewers, anybody that's out there, wants to like look you up, find you, make sure that they can subscribe to your channel, how they can get in contact with you.
You just type in CJ Faison on YouTube. My last name is spelled Faison. A lot of people screw that up.
We'll put it on the screen too, so you guys can see it there.
And then at CJ Faison on every social media platform you can think of. TikTok, I'm on there.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. It's kind of interesting, man. And I do want to do one thing. You had me on your podcast, so now I'm going to force you to come on a haunted experience with me. So,
I'm down.
All right, good.
Yeah, you named the place, man.
I tell you what, we're gonna bring him as well. All right, and you're gonna be a third person, like the camera and stuff.
Chris is there
like,
with
that
us.
That would be really sick, man.
Take me to a house though, because then I'm gonna try to replace the roof on the haunted house that we're in.
Might not be a bad idea, actually. See, that's how you cross and collab and examine like what you're doing, man. That's sick. That's a good idea.
So again, I want to thank you for coming out.
Yeah,
I met CJ. Gosh, this was I think 2013, and so we've been keeping in touch ever since then. It's been really, really cool. But cool, CJ's an awesome guy. And one of the things that I think is truly, truly important is like the relationship in life, right? I feel like everything in my life, everything that of any significance in my life at all has come from
all of this now.
Exactly.
I've seen it. I mean, we've been Facebook friends since 13 pretty much. And like, you've always been posting the same thing. And I will say this, let me touch on this before we let go, because I feel like this is really important.
We're not on a strict schedule.
All right, good. As long as we can keep rolling with this thing, man. Yeah. So there are certain business owners out there that I think get it, and then some that don't. I feel that you and I right now are probably the only two business owners that get the whole social media game, like have a true understanding of it.
You mean like locally?
Yeah, locally. 100%. Yeah. Locally, I'd say within a 100-mile radius. Truly.
Yeah.
I do pay attention to what other people are doing on social platforms, and they don't quite get it like you get it. You're investing into doing something like this.
Sure.
People are going to have and build that personality and that relationship through the lens with you, which is going to reflect on your business.
Exactly.
So again, if there's anything that I can leave with people, and I so badly, like I think I'm speaking at a car conference again in early March 2020, but I'm going to basically throw it all at them, because, man, the car industry would be even better if people would understand social media. The roofing industry would be so much better if people understood like social media. You understand it. You're getting it. Like you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing right now.
Well, I appreciate that, because I still feel like I'm navigating my way through this.
You're not navigating anything. You're doing it.
Gotcha.
You are doing it, dude.
Appreciate
like
that. You
are actually making shit happen, and that's what so many people aren't doing.
Right.
You could be saying, "Oh, today only, you can get your roof done for 20% off." You could be throwing these like advertisements out there, and I do want to say one thing. The people who figure out how to put the attention on the actual viewer or the person scrolling by your page instead of putting it on yourself, that's who's going to win in the end.
Yeah.
You're doing it. I see it. But, man, I almost would love – I know you have this network going on, and I definitely want to be a part of that, because I truly feel like I can get to know more people, build that relationship. But not only that, I feel like I could bring a lot of value to that.
Yeah.
And so many people, they have this front up. They don't want to ask other people for help.
Oh, I know.
Where, man, I'll ask for help in an instant. If I don't understand how something works, I'm asking a question.
Sure.
It's not one, it's going to be 100.
Well, it's funny you say that because we mentioned The Go-Giver earlier, book that we're reading, but I feel like I've always moved forth with that mindset of contribution. I always want to help, but the problem is as soon as somebody offered me help, I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm okay, right? And in the book, they break that down for you, right? It's a cycle. Everything in life is a cycle.
Put that wall
so
down,
like
man.
You have to understand that you have to play a part in that because if you don't accept the help, then that person might stop offering help, right? And then that's going to impact somebody else.
Well, it hurts their pride.
It's that law of receptivity, man. It's like it's deep, but yeah, I want to go back to that though. You're right, man. Like there's not enough people that are just grabbing the daggone camera, right, and just going for it, right? And it's all about confidence. And once you understand what CJ's saying is like, listen, I don't give a shit what other people think, right? Because you love you, right? So if you're confident in yourself, you could pick up that mic, you could pick up that camera, and you could just go to work on whatever it is that you think you can contribute to who's watching. And that's huge, man. Once you understand that part of it, pick up the camera and get to work.
Just go and do it, because like so many people are talking about what they should do, and like here's a big thing people don't understand. I'm gonna sit up in my chair for this one, okay?
I like it.
So if you own a business, okay, and if you are in any type of sales industry, let me speak directly to you. If you do not understand how an algorithm works on social media, I promise you right now, you are digging yourself a deeper hole. Facebook is not stupid. Instagram is not stupid. YouTube is not stupid. Google is not stupid. Understand that this platform is 10 times smarter than you are, because they are going to put your content in front of people who interact with that type of content. So if you're always selling something to somebody, and again, I only really pay attention to the car industry. If you're saying blah, 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 today only, this and that and the other, and it's a sales pitch, all right, we got platforms out there that can instantly decode your voice so they know what you're pitching in your video. The text is read. Have you ever tried to boost something on Facebook and it's like there's too much text? The algorithm is smarter than we are, okay? It knows exactly what you're saying and what you're pitching. So if there's text in the background of your post and you think you're super slick because you put your website in the background, or it's something in the background, you're actually dumber than the algorithm. Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah. So like a lot of people, they keep putting these sales things out there, and all it's doing is it's pushing them further down in the algorithm category. So the algorithm is not going to pick their post to put up in front of people organically without being paid for. So if you figure out like what people like to interact with, that's what you got to figure out in your business.
Sure.
Like, so many people are like, they want to just put these posts out and they think that they post a picture of the car for sale and a price. Okay, well, you put a dollar sign and some numbers. Now your post is really not going to be seen unless you put money behind it. Like,
but here's why, because we live in a world that's so much more transactional. And you brought up my network company, it's Master Networks, and that's the reason why we love the model of Master Networks, is because it is more relational than it is transactional, right? And 100%. So that's the point. When you're on camera and you're in front of your audience, you want to build that relationship. You want them to see who you are. You want them to know who you are. But if you get on there and you post the same before and after of a roof, guess what? Your first one's going to get a whole lot of reactions. A lot of people might interact with it, share it. But guess what? They're going to see the same thing over and over again. And one day you're going to be sitting there looking like, oh, wow, this is a beautiful before and after. But I got no likes, no reactions, no shares.
Because you didn't create an audience to interact with your page because it's the same stuff over and over and over.
And people aren't doing business with that before and after. They're doing business with you, right?
So they're going to fall in love with Bobby. They're going to fall in love with CJ. They're going to fall in love with Jerry over here that owns this business. Like, they're not going to be people who they fall in love with I guess T-Mobile is a great example. Their CEO, he's like, does this cooking thing on Instagram. And I'm like, here I am 10 minutes into this watching this shit. Now I'm like, man, I should switch to T-Mobile.
That's why he's so busy. He's watching T-Mobile guys cook.
Man. So like, think about it from that perspective. Like, start something new. Like, I gave the idea to Spencer and Zeb over at Atlantic. I said, you guys are going to change the game if you can be the first ones to post test driving videos and give an honest review. If you think that this seat feels like shit that you're sitting in, roll it.
Yes.
Okay? The opinion might be different. Somebody might come in and be like, you know what? This Toyota Corolla has the most comfortable seat I've ever sat in. But you might have a different opinion on the video.
Sure.
But what's that going to do? It builds that authenticity that, okay, these guys aren't car salesmen. These guys are car reviewers that happen to sell cars.
Right, exactly.
Maybe you'll like the car. And that's what I would add in that video. Is like, okay, I hate this feature of this car. I wish it had this. I wish it didn't have that. And then say, but your opinion might be different than mine. This is just my opinion. And again, state that in the video. Sure. There's so many things that the car industry could do to really tap into it. And if I owned an actual car dealership, I would be scary on social media. Yeah. I have so many ideas in this book, and so many times I've thought about, do I really double down and help somebody in the car industry? Do I do it myself? Do I have time to do it? And it's like, social media is going to be the way that you sell cars. Look at Craigslist. Mm-hmm. Craigslist has gone out the window. I have not gotten on Craigslist in over a year since Marketplace
Facebook
came
Marketplace,
up.
Yeah.
Everybody posts there because
I
it's
just
so
bought
easy.
one of these cameras on Facebook Marketplace yesterday.
Boom. See? And then think about this. They're trying to take over video. They're trying to take over eBay. They're trying to take over Craigslist. They've taken over Craigslist. They're dominating eBay right now with Marketplace. Oh, yeah. And Facebook is being the central focal point. Facebook is going to be the model for a long time coming because they keep developing new things, stealing away from things. They're stealing, they bought Instagram, but they stole the story idea from Instagram. Sure. And I see more people starting to post on their story on Facebook. And so it's interesting to see.
What about your thoughts on, because you're talking about these eBay, Craigslist. I mean, do you think that they're going to eventually be a threat to Amazon? I mean, Amazon's a different monster, I know.
That's a whole different model, but I think you see a world where those two join. When those two join, Katie bar the doors, you are now officially owned on the internet.
Yeah.
Like, if those two can find an intersection to meet at, man, I think you've really seen a game changer in the industry or in the entire world.
Yeah, of course.
And it's the same thing with the car industry. I keep reverting back because that's what I'm very knowledgeable about. But the car industry has changed already because Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
You can now post your vehicles for sale on Facebook Marketplace. That's where everyone's looking.
That's dope, man.
So, I mean, like carsforsale.com or like in Edmonds and stuff.
Whatever, like
those are all places where, I mean, they're slowly dying off because you're going to Facebook. Like you got to think about this. Facebook's whole goal is to keep you on that app. Because if they keep you on that app, you're going to keep scrolling past the ads. The CPMs are going to go up. It's going to cost more to be on there. It costs more to get your company name out there. And I've seen it. The price has gone up and up and up and up and up and up. And eventually, like if you don't create a social medium around your company that people love your company and love that personality, or maybe all of your people's personalities in your company, you're going to lose because it's going to cost so much to advertise on it. You can't even get the attention you need to gain the business.
That's right. Yeah.
So like you should have started 2 years ago. Right. I mean, it's like if you're not on social media and you're not savvy, my gosh, bless you. It's going to be a tough road to hoe.
Yeah, it's a different world. But and so I want to get back to, and I know again we can't spend all day doing this as much as I've had a good time. I want to close because I want to say to you, like, I definitely see the name of the podcast is the Extra Mile Podcast for a reason, right? I feel like, we talk about the relationships, but the things in my life that have happened to me have all really truly been in those moments where I went the extra mile. Like when you talked about reaching out to Mo, right? Like that was you kind of going the extra mile with that, like something that somebody else isn't going to do, right? And to put yourself in a different situation. So I know that, we could probably chat about that a lot. Do you have like one specific example outside of the Mo situation where just going above and beyond, going the extra mile with something was truly significant to the outcome?
I see that a lot in my videos. I was just out in California. We traveled 3 hours into the middle of the desert where there's nothing. We didn't necessarily go the extra mile by going out there. We went the extra mile by putting ourselves in danger to get good video content, which we did. I was editing the video, and I'm like, man, I'm so glad we stayed there another 2 hours to film. We were dead tired, but we went back out. We grabbed a bunch of energy drinks, which I don't typically drink, but I knew you're in the moment. And if you can capitalize on that, it's not like I live in California. I can't just drive 3 hours and go do this video and go do more stuff. I drove out there with Mo, and we literally were just like, we're going to film 2 more videos tonight. We're going to spend another 2 or 3 hours here. And we did, and it was so worth it because the content that we got was by far some of the best that we've got. But we risked our lives by going the extra mile. We stayed there longer. We pushed through. We persevered. And sometimes, like, when we think we're tired, that's actually like when the creativity starts, because we were like, man, we could go do this in this building and we could do that over here. So it just kind of opens you up a little bit. You sometimes have to push yourself the extra mile, and you got to risk it to get the biscuit, as the old saying is.
I like that. I don't think I've ever heard that. Yeah. But what's funny about what you're saying is you're talking about, staying that 2 extra hours that got you the great content or whatever. That's amazing. Where most people stop, man. It's so unfortunate. But, I can't think there's this like image where this guy like dug and dug and dug for gold or for a diamond or something like that.
And he had like one more stroke at it. And there's like this big pile of gold.
Yes. I'm so afraid of that in my life. Yes. So I used to knock on doors. That's how I actually got into this business years ago, man. And I would get beat on, man. These people would yell at me, and I even had a gun pulled on me knocking on doors canvassing, right?
That's crazy.
And but I always felt like the next door. Like that's what I kept thinking. Like the next door is going to like go. Like, and it's happened numerous times. Like right when we were about to quit, we knocked on one more door, and it wasn't even that person. Or that's what would happen. We would knock on a door, and the whole house was already redone, brand new roof, brand new windows, brand new siding. Like, why am I even knocking, right? And they're like, well, my mother across town needs a whole new everything.
Bingo.
And we end up signing the contract for it. But that's it, man. I was like, I think like the big thing to know is like. Don't stop knocking. Like there's another door to knock on,
always,
right?
Man.
And so it's so awesome to hear you talk about that part of it, and like tying it together with going that extra mile, because going that extra mile is where people are uncomfortable, right? You said you talked about being like really tired and exhausted.
It would have been easy to just go back to the hotel,
right? There's so much success on the other side of that uncomfortable feeling. So much success on the other side of fear, so much success on the other side of your comfort zone. So guys, we could chat all day about this, so we're probably
this is like a power hour.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. Do have to do this again sometime, but we're gonna go ahead and close. And one of the things that I just want to leave you guys with is find a way to go the extra mile this week for whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. Go the extra mile and seek whatever you're after by trying something you wouldn't have otherwise tried. You got any last thoughts for him?
You just nailed it.
Okay.
You absolutely nailed it, man.
Well, thanks for tuning in to the first ever episode of the Extra Mile Podcast. And again, thank you, CJ, for coming to join us.
I feel really special.
Dude, you should, man. I was like, man, I want to have CJ on here because we spoke together. We had a good time, man. You got a great story. So thank you so much, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, man.